It is my intention to speak on the shorter side of time today for two reasons. One, it's already 11:30. And two, I've had an incredibly busy couple of weeks, and my entire sermon is already printed on your order of service, where it lists the 7 social sins. But I've been reflecting on what Gandhi was lifting up in this, in that he's taking language of sin from European Christianity, but looking at it through his lens of Hinduism. And as someone who also doesn't quite land comfortably with the word sin, I imagine that his breadth of receiving that word in how to look at the world will also fit with how I'm looking at the world. In the ways in which we stretch this idea of sin from one personal thing that I've done to a societal failure instead. For example, there's that sin of lying, right? But is there something going on in our society today that's sort of a big social, ethical failure that is connected to lying? That's going on among us, and how do we name that? How do we claim that that's a piece of what's going on that is wrong when we limit it to one person doing one thing? Because this is something that's impacting the entire society. There's been a lot going on in my heart the past couple of months around social perspective on this, not you personally going to one rally and accomplishing one thing, but to us accomplishing something together. So when I look at this list that Gandhi promoted from 100 years ago, I imagine some of these pieces happening among us today. We had, by some counts, 7 million people attending the No Kings rally. By other counts, 8 million. There will be over 40 million people impacted by SNAP losing all of its funding in 1 week, because our government can't come to do its work of governing. And I absolutely understand that that's being held hostage for healthcare instead, which also would be impacting tens of millions, if not more. I don't have that number in front of me. Actually, I don't have any of the numbers in front of me. I just have this, but work with me. There's a societal level of what's wrong right now. And I can easily point to the politics without principle and talk about how what Gandhi did worked because he was able to shine a light on what was being experienced by the people in India, and that the world saw it, and that the British government was ashamed of its behavior, and it changed. I do not believe that our current administration feels shame. If they did, this would have ended at the Access Hollywood of grab them by the in 2016. There is no shame. So what was Gandhi doing that we might pick up on today? Some of it is reframing this idea so that you're not thinking of yourself as a solo actor, somebody who's alone in this, struggling privately. Instead, we can recognize that we are the solution. We are the ones who can step up and demand of our government to behave in the way that we've asked our government to behave since its inception, or to behave better than it was at its inception, more perfect. Amen. Some of these pieces, like pleasure without conscience, just to recognize that you don't have to pay for pleasure. Everyone ought to have that pleasure. And to have it without a conscience is to imply that you're only doing what you're doing without thinking about the next person. So to think of each of these in that sense of like, it's because you're trying to do it isolated that it's a failure. right? Or that the way that our society is working. Knowledge without character, science without humanity. These, I think, we've grappled with a little bit. Religion without sacrifice, that one lands a little bit funny because of the word sacrifice, I think. But think about who Christian nationalists are ready to sacrifice. The concept of sacrifice, perhaps in our Unitarian Universalist setting or other liberal or liberation progressive religions, think of instead like how we will set aside some of our personal yearnings or needs or beliefs so that we can be together on something. That sense of loyalty is so easy among conservatives. They just toe the line. There's a deep value in loyalty among conservative religions. Whereas I think that in liberal religions, we tend to think more in terms of purity. If you're not pure, we don't like you. Therefore, we're cutting off Mamdani, we're cutting off Gavin Newsom because they're not perfect. Instead of rallying together to support movement that's actually against the people that we're really being harmed by. Not that everyone who is in on the team with us is perfect. I think that's one of our flaws, that we demand purity among us. Cuomo is going to lose the mayoral race because of sexual behavior. Did Trump? No. Why? Because liberals demand purity and conservatives demand loyalty. Friends, we can move forward with an eye toward how we all need to be able to move forward. We can't leave anyone behind. We can't stop just because somebody's not doing it the way I would do it, or the way that Gandhi would have done it. Gandhi wasn't perfect. There's lots of flaws, and there is so much harm that is happening around us today, among us even. Friends, we have a moment before us that is going to unfold fairly quickly in terms of what's going to happen next in our society. Our work is to catch each other, to carry each other, to see each other, and to love each other, and to find the next person, and the next person, and to keep holding each other, and to keep us moving forward. I really wanted this to be a big, chewy, intellectual sermon about these 7 ethical failures that society has among us. But I'll tell you what, I think you already know that one. I think you already see it. So instead, this is a 5-minute, hey, I see you. I see you struggling. You are not alone. The message that I want to lift up from the life of Gandhi is not specifically what he did, but how he kept drawing more people in. And we can too. We have the solution. We can do the next step. Friends, the world is hurting. You, I sure, are hurting. Together, we can do something. We can make this place beautiful. In a world without end, may it be so.